Everybody, this is Teddy Lim. Welcome to Project Limitless. Today is day 19 of my 90-day video challenge, and today I'm actually out here in downtown Austin at a place called Riverside, and today is Sunday. And what a better way to cap off this Sunday than talk to you about the speaking tactics of Joel Osteen, right? Joel Osteen is a preacher, a pastor from Houston, Texas, and I'm pretty sure most of you have seen some of his 30-minute speeches, maybe on public television or PBS. You know, he's considered to be one of the most influential people on the earth right now. Definitely one of the most powerful preachers that has come up, you know, the last decade. And today I wanted to share with you seven tactics that he uses, 7 patterns that I've noticed that he uses in order to captivate, influence, and really entertain his audience, right? So let's begin. Tip number 1 is to start your speech with a joke, right? There's nothing better than starting your speech with laughter, because what it does is that it opens up your listener's mind to what you have to say. It also relaxes them, right? If you're about to share something that's very important, you want to have a receptive mind. You want your audience to have a receptive mind in order to really take it in, soak it in, and have them really accept you as well, okay? Tip number 2 is to speak gently but firmly, right? Nothing beats a southern, soft southern Texas accent than making the point come across, right? And Joel Osteen has perfected this formula in the way that he actually shares his sermons. He has a certain sway, he has a certain tempo, he has a certain rhythm to the way that he speaks, and it's almost like massaging his listener's mind, and really just massaging that message into people's minds so that they're receptive to it, right? And I've yet to perfect that speaking tone, but if you observe Joel very, very strictly, you're gonna notice what I'm talking about, right? Tip number 3 is actually share practical advice and just not lecturing, right? One thing I noticed about Joel's speaking style versus a typical priest, right? I'm Catholic, so you know, I go to church most Sundays, right? And what I notice when they're actually at the pulpit, priests are at the pulpit, is they tend to lose a lot of their listeners, right? They tend to lose a lot of their audience. A majority of which is because in my opinion, their concepts that they're teaching are far too spacey, right? It's far too out of reality, far too out from being right on the ground. It's you know, you're dealing with people here that have modern day problems, and what I'm seeing that there's a challenge for Catholic priests is there's a lack of disconnect. There's a lack of there's a certain disconnect between what they're teaching and what, you know, what their audience needs, right? So what I really like about Joel Osteen is that, like I said, he shares practical advice that you could use right afterwards, right after you leave his church, and apply it to your daily problems, right? So tip number 4 is to be who you are, regardless of what your critics say, right? Joel's been criticized for what many people say or call the prosperity gospel, right? Where, you know, he would share and talk about how to be prosperous in this world, right? And it almost seems contradictory to what a lot of Christianity shares or teaches, right? Which is, humble yourself, be humble, be lower than the majority of people, lay low, right? Don't offend anybody, don't be loud, right? And when it comes to Joel, he basically handles this criticism as, God wants us to be prosperous, right? Would you rather have me sharing about poverty, right? Would you rather have me preach a poverty gospel than have a prosperity gospel, right? The happier you are, the happier you are. The happier you are, the happier the people around you, right? And so, that's a very powerful lesson right there, is be who you are and stick to your message, okay? Tip number 5 is, I like Joel because he points out to his followers, he shares with them their inner gifts, right? He doesn't say, oh, you, my listener, have to follow me. You have to keep on following me in order to keep staying enlightened, right? What he does is that he holds up this big giant mirror and tells his listeners that, hey, you have it within you. You have your salvation within you. You have everything that you need in order to live a happy life, in order to have a successful life. Have everything within you, right? And it's funny because whenever he says God, right? Whenever he uses the word God, he never uses it in a way that is commanding, right? Whenever he says God, you could always substitute it for the word universe, right? Or you could substitute it for the word source. You could substitute it for the word, Allah, right? And that's a very specialized talent. That's a very good skill to have, especially when you're trying to reach as many people as possible, right? It shows your listener that you respect their opinion enough that you're willing to be flexible, but at the same time, because of your flexibility, you actually draw people in, right? You get them to understand you and what you're trying to share to them, right? And that's a very powerful skill to have right there. And it's not gonna win everybody, right? And it's futile for you to try to impress everybody or make everybody like you, but it's good enough for you to keep continually growing your sphere of influence and growing your audience, and actually making them feel like, hey, I consider your opinion, I appreciate your opinion, and I'm not gonna make you wrong if that's how you believe, but the way I believe is that we believe the same, and you should join me, right? And it's a very powerful skill to have if you're in the teaching business, if you're in the speaking business, or if you're in the marketing business. Okay? My last tip is that, religious or not, right? The best storytellers have this magical ability of getting people to believe, or getting you to believe what they have to say. But more importantly, they get you to believe in yourself and get you to take action on that belief. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to connect with you, and I want to continue this conversation. So please follow me on facebook.com/global entrepreneur, and I'll be more than happy to share with you marketing tips that I've learned, sales tactics that I've learned all throughout my 13 years of being in the sales industry. And let's keep this conversation going, okay? So once again, that's facebook.com/global entrepreneur. See you there. Cheers.